is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, Major League Baseball suspended White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson 6 games. Guardians third baseman Jose Ramirez 3 games for their roles in Saturday's massive brawl. Cleveland closer Emmanuel Clase, White Sox manager Pedro Gafal, and Guardians manager Terry Francona also suspended 1 game apiece. Anderson and Ramirez are appealing so they can play until that process is complete. If Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is not 100% for Week 1, receiver Jamar Chase does not want to see him on the field. Chase repeatedly has said he doesn't want Burrow rushing back from that calf strain to play. Says the Bengals are worried about the big picture, not the small one. ESPN NFL reporter Kimberly Martin.
I don't love Joe Burrow missing any time, but if there's one quarterback I look at besides Patrick Mahomes and say, you know what, when he comes back fully healthy, I expect to see him roll, it's Joe.
Kimberly Martin on First Take. Texans starting right tackle Titus Howard expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks after undergoing hand surgery, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. So it is possible Howard will be back in time for the September 10th season opener against the Ravens.
How would you love a chance to save some money on car insurance? Geico can help. Switch today and see all the ways you could save with great rates and discounts. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com to get a rate quote and get started seeing how much you could save.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Alondra Villarreal. Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Saints looking at a former NFL rushing leader. Nick Saban lamenting realignment. The Tigers are back on the practice field today, which is exactly where we begin.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, LSU was back on the practice field on Monday, and much appreciation of Brian Kelly for the access he continues to afford the media. We got to watch about 15 minutes inside, a little longer than 15 minutes inside, actually, but we were able to film, shoot video, pictures, all for the first 15 minutes. Then it's observation only the rest of the way. And it ended up being more than 2 hours that the media got to see today. I will begin with the thing that everybody is talking about today. Yes, there was a gigantic fight. And I'm not talking about one of those fights where somebody grabs someone's face mask and then they hold each other at arm's length and they tug a little and you blow whistles. This is a fight. Like punches thrown. There were actually dopes throwing punches at people with helmets on. Like, I don't know why you would punch someone in the helmet, but that happened. It was outside during a team period. They were going full 11 on 11. Team had shoulder pads on today, so they were doing a thud, which is you're not tackling to the ground, but it was a thud. And they were going 11 on 11. And Harold Perkins and Malik Neighbors got mouthy, and Malik threw a punch, and then Kyron Lacey threw a punch, and it was in a matter of seconds, 50, 60 guys on the field in a giant melee. And it was odd because you figure that it would calm and break up. It didn't. Then it went to the ground, and it was a dog pile, and there was Mason Smith body slamming somebody. I don't know who, but it seemed like it had calmed, and this all happened right in front of the media assembled. I mean, I was right there. And it seemed like it had calmed, and then Major Burns jumped back in and threw a punch at somebody with a helmet on. Denver Harris took off his helmet. I don't know why. Like, you're in a fight, man, like with dudes with helmets and pads. Leave your helmet on. But anyway, ultimately, when it all got broken up, they sent Malik Neighbors and Kyron Lacey to the locker room. They were kicked out of practice. I don't know why Perkins and Burns weren't kicked out. They should have been as well, but weren't. They did not allow Perkins to go back in. There was a point when they resumed 11 on 11 that Perkins tried to go back in with the defense, and Kelly was like, get your behind out of there. And he kind of took him to the side and talked to him for a bit. Before they resumed activities, Brian Kelly brought the whole team together and had a message. After practice, Mason Taylor and Savion Jones were the two players that spoke. Greg Brooks was supposed to meet with the media today. He left practice with an injury. And Malik Neighbors was supposed to speak today, but he got kicked out of practice, so I don't think they were going to let him talk. Mason Taylor was asked Brian Kelly's message after the fight.
A couple days in the fall camp, everyone's excited. So, I mean, everything gets chirpy and they're excited to be back. So it's just energy's through the roof. But Coach Kelly just said respect the brotherhood. I mean, we just got to respect each other. At the end of the day, we're teammates, and we got to work together to get each other better. And we'll do that to the other team, not our team. So.
And then also Savion Jones was asked similarly the same question about Brian Kelly's message after the fight.
Yeah, he was definitely disappointed, but, you know, he just told us that's something that we need to put behind us, and instead of being down about the fight, use that as a stepping stool to see where our chemistry at now and where we need to get in order to be a championship team.
One more from Savion Jones, sort of about a similar tune of what Mason Taylor said about what that shows about the team.
I feel like scuffling is something that always comes with football if you're passionate about it. Like, if you're not having a scuffle, then, like, are you really, like, do you really want to play football? You know what I mean?
I don't want to overstate what happened. I just know everybody's talking about it today, so it happened. Guys fight at practice. I remember, like, the Saints and the Texans would fight every year at practice. Last year, Trevor Penning got kicked out of practice because he fought 3 days in a row. It happens. I mean, there was the day in fall camp back in 2019 when Joe Burrow and Patrick Queen got into a fight. It happens. So hopefully they move on forward from it all better for it. Couple of notes from today. Brian Thomas was not there. No explanation given. I mentioned Greg Brooks, who had been running first team at nickel, was there at the beginning of practice. Apparently was injured at some point early and left. J.K. Johnson, the Ohio State cornerback transfer, he was on one of those scooters, you know, where your foot scooter, where your knee's on it, to elevate your foot, and his right foot was just heavily wrapped. So I don't know what the injury is, but clearly something on his right lower leg. And then, as I mentioned, both Malik Neighbors and Kyron Lacey were booted out of practice today. A couple of other things, if I kind of run through the practice report from the day. When we were inside, we saw a lot of sort of the individual drills, and then we saw the offensive line and defensive line come together, and the offensive line was working on combo blocks, so it was essentially 2 against 1. One guy that I would say has really improved, the offensive line, by the way, as a whole, won the day. If I had one big takeaway from today and the first 3 days we've been able to see, LSU's offense is light years ahead of their defense. And it's odd because it's usually the other way around. The defense normally is just you're reading and reacting. The offense is more reps, timing, rhythm. So far, from everything we've been able to see, the offense is dramatically ahead of the defense. It's still, they're not even a full week into camp yet. So I'm not saying overreact to this. If anything, I think it's really encouraging that the offensive line is playing so well, that the receivers are having as much success as they are. Like, I think it's a good thing. You can spin it either way, but I would trust Matt House and the talent on defense to come along. But the offense is doing exceptional right now. Bo Bordelon, the redshirted a year ago out of Newman down in New Orleans. Of course, his dad, Ben Bordelon, played at LSU. Bo Bordelon, last week, we saw him first playing second-team left guard. Today, he was playing right guard. Today, he was playing, forgive me, he was on the left side. I apologize. I'm sorry. Last week, Kimo Makaneoli was backup left tackle. and Mason Lunsford was second-team left guard. Today, we saw Bo Bordelon playing second-team left tackle, and Macanaioli was second-team left guard. Excuse me, I mixed that up. And Bordelon has played well. Bordelon pancakes Quincy Wiggins today. He hit some really nice wins. He looks like he belongs. That is a really nice transformation year 1 to year 2. Savion Jones, I think, had the biggest win. He split Emory Jones and Miles Frazier, and then Miles Frazier and Emory Jones dominated Deshaun Womack. That's another big takeaway. Zalance Hurd body slammed Deshaun Womack today as well. In those drills, it was tough for 17. Deshaun Womack's wearing 17. Mason Smith had a great play. It was almost unfair where he split Charles Turner and DJ Chester. I don't know why DJ Chester was lined up next to Charles Turner. He was. DJ Chester is running as your third-team center right now. When they went outside, we got to see the full offense. Logan Diggs took the first reps today at running back. That's a change. Last week when we got to watch practice, that was Josh Williams taking the first-team reps at running back. And based on full team, 7-on-7 drills, we've seen a ton of rotation there. But today it was Logan Diggs who got the first go. Sage Ryan ran at nickel with Greg Brooks out with the first team. And the wide receiver dominance over the cornerbacks and defensive backs continued. They ran the receiver defensive back drill again where, and look, it's worth noting, you got a quarterback in the middle of the field, you got a receiver and a DB one-on-one at either number, right, on the outside. The receiver and the quarterback know what route is being run. There's no pass rush. It's just receiver, corner, go, and you got the whole field. So it's, as Brian Kelly said last week, it is a drill that is skewed toward the receivers, and the receivers keep dominating it. I charted 22 reps in that drill, and the defense won 2 of them. 2 out of 22. The first one, Malik Neighbors went deep and just dusted Zy Alexander. There were the 2 defensive wins were Javian Toviano had a pass breakup against Mason Taylor. And then Deuce Chestnut had a win against Landon Ibieta. That was it. That group has a long way to go. They got a lot of talent. It's early, not overreacting. But boy, LSU's receivers and pass catchers have a major advantage right now. They look really good. Got to see a lot of special teams. If you're wondering, they let 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They tried 8 guys today catching kicks and punts. Let's see. We got to see, of course, Aaron Anderson was back there. Trey Holly was back there. Jalen Brown was back there. Gregory Clayton. Logan Diggs was back there as well. Noah Kane. And then the other freshman, number 14. It was Jalen Brown. Who's the freshman from Texas? I'm blanking. I just keep writing down numbers. Help me. Just keep, please, when I'm doing this, just do me a favor, keep a roster handy, because there's a lot of times I'm just going to call out a number. I promise you, I'm going to learn all these and we'll get there, but when you have 110 guys and a lot of them have changed numbers and things are going so quickly, you just jot numbers because it's quicker, I'll learn it. But 12 and 14 are 2 freshman receivers. Don't worry about it. I got it. 12 is Kyle Parker, and 14 is Jalen Brown. Those 2 were back there returning punts. And for whatever it's worth, both Brown and Parker bobbled punts, as did Aaron Anderson. So the challenge continues. As a matter of fact, they did go full team special teams. That's one big change, is they have a full team special teams period. And when they worked on punts, we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We saw 6 reps. And this is full on, right? And one thing I'll tell you that's impressive is they are including a lot of key players on the punt team. So, for example, they had Sage Ryan, Savion Jones, Ovia Gofu, Marlon Martinez, and Major Burns on the punt team as either the personal protectors or the gunners. The first punt, Aaron Anderson bobbled it. The second one, the snap went over Peyton Todd's head. The third one, Javen Nicholas was running up. He muffed a short punt. The fourth one, this was the one clean one. Peyton Todd boomed a punt. I mean, it had to be a 70-yard punt. He annihilated it. And Jaylen Brown went back and made the catch over his head. Forgive me, that was 12, Kyle Parker. The fifth rep, it was Brown who had a clean reception, but it was a wobbly punt by 19 by Jay Bramblett. And then the final rep, Jordan Allen, who was in coverage, just ran over Gregory Clayton. Suffice to say, guys, they got a ways to go. It's early. I mean, they're a weekend. They're not even a full weekend. They got a ways to go in a lot of places, but there's a lot of really good. And the best news so far is, man, the offense already is humming. Okay, it's After Further Review. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana. Our friends over at Mockler Beverage have been great partners in our community for decades, for 4 decades. I mean, basically, any charity event that you've been to for any school or organization that you love, if you've had Bud products there, Mockler Beverage has been there supporting you and your organization. Drink easy in Louisiana with Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. Okay, let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, we'll head to NOLA. Saints are back on the practice field. Our buddy Ross Jackson will be here next to give us our Saints practice report. Stick around.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James & Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. Agent225.com. That's agent225.com. Yo, listen, if you are thinking about selling your home, I think it's so important to stress this. I know last week we saw the Fed bump interest rates again. And so a lot of people are thinking, golly, I'm going to hang on because I don't want to buy with higher rates. One thing we are absolutely seeing is home buyers are recognizing the market right now. It's what it is. Rates aren't going to come down. And some people, because of life situation, move for a job, kids changing school, you got to buy a home. So if that's you or you're thinking about selling your home, keep in mind, there's currently in the greater Baton Rouge area about a 3-month inventory supply. Average is 6 months. So this is still a seller's market. If you're thinking of selling your home, call Darren James. Get your home sold.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, I'm happy to say we have vehicles in stock and more coming in at no markup. Don't pay over MSRP. Come on down to Corvell Toyota and choose your new Toyota today. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter? What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
It is game week for your New Orleans Saints. They'll open up preseason action this weekend at home against Kansas City Chiefs. Our buddy Ross Jackson from Locked On Saints at practice today for a little camp report. How are you, man?
Hey, buddy, doing great, man. Glad to be here with you. Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for the time. Does the fact that it is a game week change anything this week for the Saints and how they operate?
Yeah, it actually did. What we actually got to see them do a little bit more of today that we haven't seen a ton of before were situational drills. And so we've seen them do a little bit of red zone work and stuff like that, but today we got to see them do some third down work as well as some 2-minute drill work. Now, when they did their 2-minute drill work today, they did it as if it was at the end of the first half, not at the end of the game. So the goal was a little bit different. It was meant to sort of, press Derek Carr, press the offense, be able to get in and out. But then the goal, it felt like, was to get to field goal range and get a field goal in, which kind of gave Blake Grouping an opportunity there with that kicker battle continuing. So that was kind of the fix for that. But, I mean, I would say that all three of those in terms of the field goal, 2-minute drill work, as well as the third down work, were advantage to the offense, which was nice because it's been a bit of a defensive-heavy performance these last few days.
Let's go to some of the personnel questions because I know there's been injuries on the offensive line. So how have they sort of mixed and matched to fill in those gaps?
Yeah, they've moved around the offensive line a lot. They've kind of thrown out the first, second, third team convention, and instead they just kind of rotate guys in. So you'll see, one lineup as your starting lineup for 2 snaps, and then you'll see a couple of guys go out, a couple of guys come in for the next 2 snaps, and that'll change into second team, so on and so forth. But today, I think we saw the starting line that I think could potentially be the Saints starting offensive line come week 1, and that was with Trevor Penning at left tackle, James Hurst at left guard, and then Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and Ryan Ramczyk. And while those guys were out there, Derek Carr had a lot of time. Things were kept pretty clean, a little bit more cleanly than we've seen over the past. Cesar Ruiz got a little bit of trouble from Brian Brzee. Trevor Penning got a little bit of trouble from Carl Granderson throughout the day. But outside of a couple plays here and there, I thought that they held up pretty well with that starting lineup. But they rotate heavily on that offensive line to get everybody opportunities to work with every quarterback.
You like Penning week 1 starting left tackle?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
And some of that has to do too with how long, with the question mark of how long will Andrus Peat be injured? Because you don't necessarily want to be in a situation where you have effectively your third left guard in, and then the guy that's you're hoping is going to be a good piece to move around, and James Hurst, or potentially even your starting left guard, while Trevor Penning just kind of sits on the bench and continues to develop. I think you want to get Trevor Penning out there, and he's had some moments where he's got some growth to do in pass protection and all that, but after a while, you kind of have to say, okay, is he going to develop on the bench or is he going to develop by getting reps? And after a certain point, you got to make that decision.
Interesting. Ross Jackson's with us on Twitter at Ross Jackson. Nola, be sure you're subscribed up to Locked On Saints. If you're not, you're just doing it wrong. Let's flip it over to the defensive line. I'm fascinated by guys like you mentioned Brzee. I'm fascinated by Foskey to see how some of these young guys are going to do. Thought on how they did today and how it's gone so far?
Yeah, Brzee in particular had a really fantastic bull rush right up the middle up against Cesar Ruiz that would have put, Derek Carr under some real pressure. And that's really what you want to see from these guys. And with Todd Grantham, the new defensive line coordinator or defensive line coach, that's come in recently, is sort of, helping these guys become a bit more of an attacking, aggressive front. And a lot of that they want to be able to win with is going to come from the interior guys like Colin Saunders and Brian Brzee, as well as, of course, Nathan Shepard. But I think Brian Brzee can be the tone setter there because he's just such a wrecking ball. And he's so much quicker, faster, more elusive, more of a finesse guy than you expect at his size. Seems to take everybody by surprise. I asked Eric McCoy what he's most impressed by when he's looking at Brian Brzee And outside of the mention of, his ability to move at his size, he mentioned his move set, which, in terms of the pass rushing moves that he has, and his ability to string those together. That's pretty good praise for a guy coming into the NFL, where usually you're trying to teach them more moves, teach them how to string moves together. Bosky, on the other hand, is, not doing poorly, but isn't showing the same way in pass rush because he's learning a new position. Effectively, he's learning a new technique. He's playing what's called 4-eye, which is kind of that inside shoulder of the tackle that he's lining up over, which is a little bit more of a run-stopping side. So you don't really get the opportunity to get a lot of pass rush there. But when he's able to get into the pass rush, he's certainly noticeable because he's winning with speed.
What about Peyton Turner?
Peyton Turner, last year around this same time, I asked him how he would describe his camp, and he leaned on the idea that he was flashy but not consistent. Today, I asked him. It reminded him how he described his camp last year. How would you consider it this year? And he said that he's a lot more consistent, and he's playing with a lot more confidence. And it's not just his observation; we're seeing it too. I write down 98 just about every practice, and it might be 3 plays one day, 1 play or another, but you're still seeing it constantly, consistently getting in the backfield, consistently being disruptive. I think that he's making a good case for himself. I still think that starting defensive end role opposite Cam Jordan is going to go to Carl Granderson ultimately, at least to start the season. But Peyton Turner's making sure he's going to get some reps here in 2023.
A couple more for you. Ross Jackson is with us. I wanted to ask you about running back, especially considering the injury to Benjamin, and they're bringing in Kareem Hunt for a workout. Is that just a camp body situation, or are they looking for a legit maybe number 3 running back for those first 3 weeks when Kamara's out?
Yeah, I think it's the latter for sure. I really do think that they're looking for that guy while Kamara's out. I thought for a second that maybe Kirk Merritt had that inside track, but Kareem Hunt would offer a lot of competition there, especially as somebody that is already proven as an NFL veteran that can, run as well as, be used in the red zone and be used in the passing game and kind of all the different things he can do. So we'll see. I mean, look, Kareem Hunt's probably not going to sign a minimum deal anywhere. So, he might sign here in New Orleans. He might sign elsewhere. His visit officially begins tonight, so I don't think we'll hear anything today. But we'll see how things progress going into tomorrow when the Saints are off of practice tomorrow, so they have a lot of opportunity to spend time with Kareem Hunt. Kirk Merritt did leave practice today with a hamstring. I don't know. We don't know the severity of it yet. The expectation is that it's not serious. So we'll have to see what happens there. But that could be another thing that even opens the door further for Kareem Hunt and further solidifies the need at that position for New Orleans.
I guess before you go, I have to ask about Anthony Barr as well. The injury to Andrew Dowell has left the Saints, who are already thin at linebacker now, just paper thin. So maybe a thought on that linebacker position group and the possibility of adding a guy like Barr?
Yeah, I think adding Barr would be a really smart choice by New Orleans, if I'm being honest. Look, this is the team that brought in Nigel Bradham when he was 83 years old, and they brought in James Laurinaitis when he was 100 and something. And so, they consistently looked at those veteran linebackers. Anthony Barr, much younger than the guys that they would typically bring in during training camp, and is a little bit more of a pass rusher as well, so kind of fits the Caden Ellis mold, which they know worked really well last year. So I think if you're looking for a guy that can come in and kind of do all the things that Caden Ellis did, Anthony Barr is actually a really good choice, in my opinion, as opposed to otherwise you're looking at kind of splitting the responsibilities between Zach Bond and DeMarco Jackson. But maybe a part of what made Caden so good in that role is because you weren't really sure what he was going to be doing when he was on the field if you're an offense. And Anthony Barr offers that same type of versatility in disguise.
He is on Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola. You'll give him a follow. Of course, the Locked on Saints podcast. Subscribe up wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate it as always, man. Thank you.
Always a pleasure, buddy. Take care, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. That is Ross Jackson. This is After Further Review. Our Monday shows, as always, are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank and vinyl siding, and now doing interior window shades as well. And shutters. So if you want to learn more about all the products they offer, you can go to ReliefWindows.com or just schedule that consultation. You don't even need to schedule it. Walk-ins are always welcome. Right there on Airline Highway in Prairieville. Going south on Airline, you pass 42. They're on the right. It's Relief Windows. They service the entire state. So however you are listening or watching, if you can hear or see me right now, Relief Windows will come to you. ReliefWindows.com. ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. I know I kind of put out a tweet on Sunday night asking you all what you might want me to keep an eye on at practice. So I did my best to do all that today at LSU practice. We opened the show today with a camp report, but I have a ton in my notebook that I'll continue to just sprinkle in throughout the show. If there is a person, a player, a position, something you're interested in that I have not touched on yet, feel free to shoot me a tweet or an email or a text message and let me know. I'll try to get it in as we go along. You can always text me, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. Okay, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, and go around the SEC. Stick around here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. G was here in studio with us last week. Certainly enjoy that partnership. And I know Gordon has loved building the G team. Tell you all the time, you go to Get Gordon on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, however, whatever social media platform. It's at Get Gordon. And all this month, Gordon is asking you to help design the next Get Gordon billboard. So go to at Get Gordon or go to online, getgordonbillboards.com. That's getgordonbillboards.com. You can win up to $2,000 in prizes and see your design on one of their billboards. Again, the deadline is the end of this month, August 31st. Go to getgordonbillboards.com. That's getgordonbillboards.com. Put your creative hat on. You want to design Gordon's next billboard, you can do it. Go to getgordonbillboards.com. Getgordonbillboards.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet. The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
I got an email from a guy named Terry who said, y'all have had the same intro you insist on playing over and over. It was barely funny at first. Now it makes me angry. Put an angry face emoji. And then he said, and please stop talking about the West Coast Conference that we care nothing about. You are running that story into the ground. A lot to unpack there. Is he talking about, you think he's talking about like the show open?
That's what I actually think he was talking about. Yeah, like Spoon Man? Is that what, or?
Yeah, I mean, Terry, this show's 13 years old, and I've been using that intro for 13 years.
Yeah.
Periodically, we've dropped, we've added different drops. Like I think there's the Let's Ride is Derek Mason. The Gimme Some Woo, or the Woo is Icky Woods from the insurance commercial.
Yeah.
We spiked the
cold
yep.
cuts, yeah.
The cold cuts, yep. But yeah, no, that's not going anywhere.
I mean, we added Mr. Toby Tomplay to it. That spiced it up a little bit.
Yep, added Toby. But it makes him angry. He said, now it was barely funny at first, now it makes me angry. It wasn't never intended to be funny. It's just the show open.
You got to have that.
It's just a produced image.
Yeah.
It's just imaging to open the show. But now it makes me angry, he says. Angry. I mean, Terry, take a deep breath, brother. I mean, if a produced open of a radio show makes you angry, that's a you thing, man. Right?
Yeah. And, I mean, the other part, have we really talked about the West Coast Conference that much? I mean, I think the WCC's kind of been left out of this.
I think he's a little mistaken. I think
Yeah.
what he's talking about is like the Pac-12 and the realignment. But he probably doesn't understand that there is actually a West Coast Conference, like where Gonzaga plays basketball.
They do.
Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Yeah, absolutely.
Cal Poly or something like that.
Do they play football? I don't know. Maybe like a Division II type thing?
Google that.
Let's see if
be like an FCS deal, yeah.
Maybe, probably, we could say. Anyway, so Terry, look, I mean, mostly what I would just like to convey to you here is if the show open is making you, by your words, angry, like, brother, just take a breath. I mean, pour a cocktail, pop a gummy. If it's medicinal, right, like Muso does every day.
Not true.
Relax a little, man. Take a breath. It's all good.
No football on the West Coast Conference.
Okay, no football
None,
on the West Coast.
yeah.
Wow. So, no, we haven't talked about that at all.
Mm-mm.
No. But Terry, I am going to be talking about realignment later in the show. As a matter of fact, Nick Saban lamenting realignment. We're talking about that in 23 minutes. And I do want to – did you see what happened on Friday with me on Twitter?
No.
Oh, did you really miss it?
Yeah, I really missed it. I don't know what you're talking about.
All of Mountain West Twitter flooded me on Friday.
So like 20 people?
From roughly 7:30 p.m. until about midnight. Maybe about 8. Maybe it was close to like 8:30 to about midnight. I was on Twitter just going back and forth with Mountain West fans. I don't know how this happened. I really don't know how it happened, but it happened. So I'll explain all that coming up in hour number 3. We'll get to that. The preseason coaches poll is out. Your Fighting Tigers of LSU. This is the USA Today coaches poll. Your Fighting Tigers of LSU, preseason number 5 in the country, and their opponent week 1, the Florida State Seminoles, number 8. So it'll be a 5 versus 8 matchup to open the season for LSU down in Orlando. By far the most appealing game of the opening weekend. Georgia, the number 1 team in the country in the preseason. That should be of no surprise to anyone. They've earned that right. Michigan, number 2, coming off back-to-back playoff appearances. The Crimson Tide, number 3. Ohio State, number 4. And then LSU, 5. Rounding out the top 10, Southern Cal, Penn State, Florida State, Clemson, 9, and Tennessee at 10. If you're wondering about the rest of the SEC, a big gap until you get to Ole Miss at 22 and Texas A&M at 25.
Texas A&M!
Why do we keep doing this? They were preseason top 10 last year. Do you remember that?
I do.
A&M was preseason top 10. They went 5-7.
Yes.
Why are they ranked in the top 25 coming off a 5-7 season? There is no sense to be made of any of this. The fact that program is getting any benefit of the doubt anywhere whatsoever is stunning to me.
I mean, they hired Bobby Petrino. That's solid, right?
I mean, at least last year you could have said they had signed the greatest recruiting class ever.
Yeah.
Here we go again with A&M. Okay, it's after further review. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills is hiring. As a matter of fact, y'all, I realized yesterday I got a little air leak. I'm going to report to you tomorrow because I have an air leak. My right rear, my rear passenger tire is just slowly leaking air. So a couple times now in the past 3 weeks or so, I've had to go put air in that tire because it keeps lowering. So I'm going to bring it to Shaw Bills. Remember, when you buy your tires at Shaw Bills, you get free tire repairs. I'm going to bring my vehicle in there. They're going to repair my tire. I'm not going to pay anything. I'm going to be able to share that story with you tomorrow. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. For more than 50 years, to find the location nearest you to shop tires, you do it online at ShawBillsTire.com. Shop Bills, where we keep you rolling. Okay, it's after further review. We do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Florida Gators.
Billy Napier is anticipating the imminent return of two defenders. Sophomore linebacker Shamar James suffered a knee injury last week. He's expected to miss 7 to 10 days. And then Devin Moore, another sophomore defender, suffered a minor upper body injury, as it's being described. He's expected back in the next few days.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Running back Nathaniel Frazier committed to Georgia over the weekend. He's the number 4 running back, number 51 overall player in the 247 composite. He's a 4-star running back, the 27th commit for the Georgia Bulldogs, their 12th top 100 commit.
The Auburn Tigers.
Jaluis Solomon, a 4-star cornerback, has committed to Auburn for the class of 2024. He's the 5th defensive back to commit to Auburn for this class. Ranked number 230 overall in the country. Auburn now 16th in the recruiting rankings.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Ball basketball's over in Italia, and they walloped Stella Azzurra's 97-51 Monday in Rome to end their international tour. They beat the Lithuanian U21 national team twice, Friday, Saturday, and then today, early Monday. They beat, as we mentioned, Stella Azzurra there in Rome. Dalton Neck led Tennessee with 16 points. Jordan Gainey had 13, including 5 straight to open the third quarter. The Vols return to the States on Wednesday.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Meanwhile, Carolina basketball is playing down in the Bahamas on their international tour. They dominated 106-67 over Club Obras from Argentina. It was the final game of its foreign tour in the Bahamas. Gamecocks had 6 players in double figures. When you score 106 points, it would have to go that way. Michi Johnson and Miles Stute each had 17. Carolina returns to Columbia on Tuesday. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products. You know where to find them, gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Tell you every day, face-to-face sales service after the sale. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, North Shore, because they have so many different offices, they can get you same day or, about worst-case scenario, 10 a.m. the next day at Gulf Coast Office Products. Get online at gcopnet.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, wrap up hour number 1. We will get to Nick Saban, Eli Drinkwitz, the Oregon athletic director, Rob Mullins, all with talk about realignment over the weekend. We'll sort of reset that coming up in about 17 minutes from right now. So we're glad to have you aboard with us here. Wilson Alexander in 30 minutes. So Wilson out at LSU practice day. We'll get his take on what he's seen so far with the Tigers making their way through fall camp. All right, y'all, stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Renaissance Hotel and the Watermark Hotel, 2 amazing hotel properties in the Baton Rouge area. Of course, the Renaissance right there on Bluebonnet near I-10. Of course, everybody knows where the Renaissance is, a gorgeous property. You know, with the Renaissance line, every single Renaissance hotel is unique to that market, meaning literally only one. It's not like it's a common theme that's shared among all the Renaissance hotels. Every Renaissance is made uniquely for that market. For example, when you go into the Renaissance in Baton Rouge, look at the sculpture behind the front desk. That is actually a to-scale sculpture of the Mississippi River and all of its tributaries. It's really incredible. When you go into the guest rooms at the Renaissance, they've got a Cajun dictionary, Cajun language dictionary wallpaper in the bathrooms. It's so gorgeous. You have to check it out. It's the Renaissance Hotel. And, of course, enjoy a meal at Tallulah, that business lunch, that night on the town. Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet. It's the Renaissance Hotel.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
I've got bad news for Terry.
What's that?
ESPN is reporting that the ACC is having exploratory discussions about adding Stanford and Cal.
Oh, no.
So we're having more realignment talk. Bad news, Terry. It's not just realignment, but it's that West Coast Conference realignment talk again, Terry. If you're just joining us, a guy named Terry emailed me. Very upset that I keep hammering the story of the West Coast Conference in the ground. And that we have a show open.
But not the actual West Coast Conference.
Right, not the actual.
The Pac-12.
Yes.
Or the Pac-4.
A conference that happens to be on the West Coast.
Yes.
Did you watch the Hall of Fame game?
I did not watch the Hall of Fame game, actually.
Alondra, did you watch the Hall of Fame game by any chance last Thursday?
I did not watch the Hall of Fame game.
Well, how many people are in the United States? 400 million?
Somewhere around there, I think, yeah.
Maybe 350, something like that. So that means
331.9 million as of 2021. That's the last time.
Let's go 332.
Yeah, that's fair. Round it up.
Okay. So that means 326 million people did not watch the Hall of Fame game. But 6.3 million did. That is pretty incredible. 6.3 million viewers. This from NBC, across NBC, Peacock, and NBC Sports Digital. The most watched presentation of the Pro Football Hall of Fame game since 2018. yes, it was the Jets, which is going to have a draw, right? I mean, you have the New York market. Aaron Rodgers didn't play, but he was interviewed. You have Cleveland.
Cleveland!
You know what else I want to do? I want to get the Channing Crowder. Do you have it on the bar?
I don't have it on a button, but I have it right here.
Okay. That's the one that I want to replace just the Cleveland one because especially watching the pivot now with RC, Channing, and Fred Taylor.
Oh, wait, I do have it on a button.
Hit it.
Cleveland's the anus of America. It's the booty.
You know what's amazing about that? Like, I have been playing that drop on the show for 10 years. For a long time. And only now, like, Channing Crowder is, like, super... Well, I was going to say, like, super mega famous. Well, the pivot is blown up, obviously. And so many more people are aware of him. That's when I think he was just doing local radio in Miami 10 years ago. But, I say just. I mean, it's obviously a big deal. But anyway. So, it's the Jets against Cleveland.
Cleveland's the anus of America. It's the booty.
Why do I love that so much?
I mean, because it's really good.
You had a competitive game, but the bottom line is 6.3 million people watched a preseason football game. Like if you're a fan of the Mountain West Conference, for example, 1 million people watched the Mountain West Championship game last year. A preseason NFL game drew 6 times that audience. An exhibition. Way more than we'll watch the Mountain West Championship.
I'm beginning to see how this might have happened between you and Mountain West Twitter. I've started to get an idea of what might have transpired.
That's not how it. I didn't pick the fight. I didn't pick a fight.
Maybe not intentionally.
No, not at all. I didn't pick the fight. So look, some people think that I'm a bully. I'm not a bully. Like I'm never going to throw the first punch. But if you come at me, you're damn right I'm going to clap back. I can get loud, and I can bark, and I can bite. I can do all that stuff. I'm never going to be the guy out there just bullying the Mountain West. I'll give you an opinion. But when you start coming at me, bro, we're going to have a problem. And then I'm going to be sitting there for 3 hours on a Friday night tweeting all you dimwits. Had to be really careful.
Yeah.
An okay word right there.
Yeah.
Dimwits.
Morons.
Can I get a ruling on dimwits? Got it. Thank you. All right. We'll get more to that in a bit. All right. It's after further review. I don't know how that can work, but we'll explore it again after the top of the hour. So about 8 minutes from right now, we'll sort of reset some of the realignment stuff because Saban spoke on the record about it. The Oregon AD spoke on the record about it. Eli Drinkwitz had some comments about it this weekend. And then there's a report now from ESPN that that the ACC is exploring potentially adding Stanford and Cal. So we'll get to all that coming up after the top of the hour. Okay, it's after further review. As we mentioned, LSU is back on the practice field today. If you're just joining us, opened up the show today with my camp report. I'm going to get to much more sort of like emptying the bag of a lot of news and notes from camp, as a lot of you are sort of asking. Rod had sent a question. He said, Matt, what are your thoughts on Trey Holly, and do you think he's going to be redshirted? So I do think Trey Holly is going to be redshirted. And I would say the same about Caleb Jackson. I think when you're looking at 8 scholarship running backs, it's just not feasible to get all 8 of those guys involved this year unless if something dramatic happens, like an injury or someone quits the team. And I'm not suggesting that will happen. I'm not suggesting I hope that happens, any of that stuff. But it's just, when you think about it realistically, it's not super feasible. The example that I have given and will continue to give how I think this year goes is 2011. If you remember that 2011 team, they were so loaded and so deep at running back. Michael Ford had 127 carries. Spencer Ware had 177 carries. Alfred Blue had 78. Kenny Hilliard had 62. Jefferson, your quarterback, had 75. And then Terrence McGee had 27. So that was 5 running backs and your quarterback who all sort of carried the lion's share. Then Russell Shepard had 7 rushing attempts, a lot of jet sweep action and whatnot. So in theory, think, all right, that could be Aaron Anderson's role with the jet sweep action. And if you just look at Logan Diggs, Josh Williams, who you know are going to be super involved there, Noah Cain, John Emery, that's 4. And then if you want to throw in one of the other veterans, be it Armani Goodwin or Trey Bradford, that's 5 or 6, plus your quarterback. I don't see a spot for the 2 freshmen to really have a role this year. Both Trey Holly and Jackson were returning punts, but there were 8 guys returning punts. So maybe there's a role there as a return specialist on special teams, something like that. But as far as actually impacting the offense, it's hard to imagine with that many scholarship veterans ahead of them that either the 2 freshmen make an impact this year. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Email us, tweet us, jump in the Buy Forward YouTube chat, or text 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Saban talks realignment. We'll let you hear what he said when we come back right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com with more than 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells services, rents the products you use to weigh and measure. At Michelli, they like to say, we show the world what measurement can do. And so many people know Michelli because of their scales, but the thing that I would really like to stress is if you're in any one of these industries that Michelli serves, from aerospace to aggregates, agriculture, the chemical and petrochemical industry, energy, and on down, go to the website, because so many people look at Michelli's website and realize, oh, I didn't know you did that. For services and calibration, you can check it all out. Just go to the website at Michelli.com. You can request a quote. If you want to ship your equipment to them, you can do that. That can certainly make you more efficient. Or they can come for on-site calibration, mass calibration, torque, scale, force calibration, temperature calibration, electronic. They do it all. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. Right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7, The Tiger.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Major League Baseball suspended White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson 6 games. Guardians third baseman Jose Ramirez 3 games for their roles in Saturday's brawl. Guardians closer Emmanuel Passe, White Sox manager Pedro Grifol, and Guardians manager Terry Francona suspended 1 game each. Anderson and Ramirez are appealing so they can play until that process is complete. ESPN's Pete Thamel reports ACC leaders set to begin exploratory discussions on the potential additions of Cal and Stanford to the conference. They and the other 2 remaining Pac-12 schools, Oregon State and Washington State, scrambling to find a place to land. Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud, second overall pick in this year's NFL draft, will start Thursday's preseason opener against the Patriots. Coach DeMeco Ryans.
From C.J. in this game, I just want to see a guy come out and command the huddle, command the offense. Get us lined up, get everybody on the same page, and just operate efficiently.
Texans dealing with another setback for their offensive line. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports starting right tackle Titus Howard expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks after undergoing hand surgery. Could be back by the season opener.
You don't need special gadgets to be a hero. With unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, everywhere, the Capital One Quicksilver Card makes you the hero of every purchase. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt. Hey, shut up, kid. Alondra Villarreal. Musa. And Mr. Toby Tumplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Wilson Alexander joins us in 15 minutes. So Wilson out at LSU practice today. Get his take on what we've seen so far through 3 practices open to the media, including more than 2 hours worth of drills we got to watch today. Real quick, so I told you last hour, got an email from a gentleman named Terry. Terry was very upset about the show open. He said, y'all have had the same intro you insist on playing over and over. It was barely funny at first. Now it makes me angry, with an angry-faced emoji. And he went on to say, please stop talking about the West Coast Conference we care nothing about. You're running that story into the ground. I've noted to Terry, like, we're not changing the show open. It's just an open. And we're not talking about the West Coast Conference. It's the Pac-12. The West Coast Conference doesn't play football, but that is a conference on the West Coast. We are going to talk more. Anyway, Terry did reply, and he said, I'm embarrassed. I never expected anyone to read my email. I was exaggerating about how angry I get. P.S. I'm still listening and really excited about football. And Terry, by the way, it's why I didn't use your last name, even though I could have. I could have, but didn't, because I know how this works. A couple things. Fair warning to everybody. If you ever email me, tweet me, like, you are volunteering to be part of the show. So you could always have your comment read. A lot of people want that, but keep in mind. And also, to Terry, who said he never expected anyone to read the email. Yes, I read emails. I read the text that you send to the text line. I reply on Twitter. I love engaging with the audience. So please, if you ever want to get involved, get involved. And thank you for listening, Terry. I appreciate it. Okay. It's After Further Review. Thanks for being here with us. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Of course, when we were here on Friday, realignment was a huge thing. Like, during the show is when everything transpired formally with Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten. And then ultimately we learned Arizona State and Utah were leaving for the Big 12, leaving the Pac-12 as the Pac-4. The two remaining teams in the Pac now are Cal and Stanford. And according to Pete Thamel at ESPN, according to sources, the ACC is discussing Cal and Stanford as additions to their league. So, again, that's just in from Pete Thamel over at ESPN just about 20 minutes ago or so. To very quickly run through this, exploratory discussions. The two scheduled calls for the discussions, as he notes, are in the embryonic stages. One call slated with the ACC athletic directors, a separate with the league's presidents, will play out Monday and Tuesday. So I don't know what's going to happen with those schools in particular. I know everyone keeps talking about how logistically it doesn't make sense crisscrossing the country. I understand that. I also think if you're going to get on a flight, people say, well, what about, is Oregon's volleyball team going to fly to play Rutgers on the East Coast? Sure. When LSU's non-revenue sports have to go play in Columbia, South Carolina, they ain't taking a bus. They're jumping on a plane. A lot of times it's a PJ. So, that's the cost of doing business in major college sports now. Anyway, so I don't worry so much about the geography like others try to bring up. I think in time you get smart people in a room and that sorts itself out with how you schedule certain things. So I think the bigger question becomes the finances, and if in time we do see non-revenue sports cut, which I think is a very real possibility, regardless of conference realignment. We saw Stanford do it. The funniest thing, not funny, haha, but Stanford during the pandemic cut, I think it was 11 varsity sports during COVID. July 8th of 2020, Stanford cut 11 varsity sports. Y'all, Stanford has an endowment of $36 billion. Stanford could knock down its campus and build a whole new campus out of solid gold if they wanted to. $36 billion. Now, I know you don't just go tap into the endowment to pay for sports teams. I get it. My point is, Stanford is rich, y'all. If Stanford wanted to fund these 11 non-revenue sports, they could. They had the cover of a pandemic to say, I can't afford you anymore. Baloney. They were looking for an out. The pandemic gave them an excuse to cut 11 non-revenue sports that were hemorrhaging money. Okay? If you're running an athletic department like a business where you have a balance sheet, which is what you do, and before you come at me with what's the problem? We're running it like, you have to run it like a business. Do you understand that scholarships for student athletes, those payments aren't just waived? Like when LSU has 85 scholarship football players, the athletic department has to pay the university for those 85 scholarships. And not just for football, for all of the scholarship athletes in varsity sports. And that's true at every university. So you have to make money. It's how you fund your athletics. Otherwise, you're asking the state or the university to subsidize the athletic department. Anyway, that for me is the bigger question, how that all goes about. And I do think we're going to lose varsity sports, a lot of varsity sports, and not because of realignment, but like Stanford used COVID as a cloak to get rid of 11 sports, I think there's a lot of athletic departments that are going to use realignment as a cover to get rid of other varsity sports that are hemorrhaging money. Nick Saban, during his media availability on Sunday, Bama had their football media day, had this to say about all the realignment, the impact it's having on college football.
There's a lot of traditions that we've had for a long time in college football, and I think we're in a time of evolution for whatever reasons, and some of those traditions are going to get sort of pushed by the wayside, I think, and it's sad. whether it's good, bad, or indifferent for college football, I guess you have to define what is good and bad for college football. So I think one thing I would just hope that we would keep in mind in all the choices and decisions we make relative to what we do in college athletics is the student athlete. They're here to get an education, want to try to help them develop careers on and off the field, and hopefully some of the choices and decisions that we make for college athletics in the future will impact them in a positive way. And I hope that we can keep that as a priority in terms of whatever we decide to do in the future of college football and college athletics.
I don't blame Nick Saban for saying it the way he did. If you want to keep rivalry games, you want to keep a lot of that stuff in place, you want to keep the fact that they're student athletes at the forefront. I'm not saying that that's a wrong way to think. But I will also say every time we have this conversation that you also have to be very logical about the conversation we're having with regard to college sports. When you're talking about billion-dollar television deals, yes, with respect to Commissioner Greg Sankey, who I sat with at SEC Media Days on air and asked him about revenue with regard to football scheduling, and he said, money doesn't lead. They're going to do what they want, the money will follow. I frankly don't agree with him. Money does lead the conversation. Why do you think all of those Pac-12 schools left? Because they looked at the TV deal that was being offered by Apple and said, we're not going to be able to compete. Who's going to give us more money and stability? They left. That's why. Of course, money leads these conversations. And the same is true in the Southeastern Conference. So with respect to Nick Saban saying he wants to keep the student athletes and make sure they get an education, yes, absolutely. That's a giant part of it. But, y'all, have you been to Tuscaloosa, Alabama lately? Have you looked at that campus? It's okay if you haven't. I'm assuming most of you that are listening or watching right now haven't been to Tuscaloosa lately or seen their campus. The amount of industry and commerce at that university and in that town is astonishing. New buildings, enrollment up, applications up, everything that university, their endowment is over $1 billion now. It's pushing $2 billion actually, because they've had 17 years of sustained success in football that has had an ancillary effect on the university as a whole. Your athletic department is the doorstep to your university. When every year that LSU is, I've had these conversations with folks at the LSU alumni office. Every year that LSU has won the national championship in football, 03, 07, 19, they see a 20% or more spike in applications to the university. That's not coincidence. So all that to say, yes, you want to keep student athlete first, but the point being, by being great at sports, that is a window and a front door to the university, to the academic side. Like LSU women's basketball loses millions of dollars every year. It is a loss leader. They will never make money in women's basketball, ever. LSU women's basketball will not make money. They will lose money. But if you look at the roughly $4 million, and we'll wait to see what the financial report is, but if LSU women's basketball lost $4 million this year, you couldn't possibly take $4 million and spend it anywhere in marketing that would give you the type of scale and residual benefit of winning that women's basketball national championship. Not possible. So is it worth it to lose $4 million in women's basketball to have that product as an open door to your university? You're damn right it is. And the same is true for football, which is why you continue to try to find stability and growth amid the changing landscape of college football. Okay, let me knock out a break. And again, if you're just joining us wondering why we're talking realignment, report from ESPN, the ACC is in, as Pete Thamel wrote, the embryonic stages of talking to Stanford and Cal about possibly joining their league. So we'll keep you posted. Let me knock out a break. Wilson Alexander, the Advocate. We'll talk a little LSU football. He was out of practice today. I was standing next to him for most of it. We'll chat with Wilson next at AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, where every time you get an inspection, you get a free Hudco hat, #1 accessory of 2023 and beyond. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. Hey, look, there was awful weather. I mean, look, it's just the time of year, actually, that there's going to be awful weather around our part of the world with storm season being here. So many of our friends, neighbors, family members, coworkers have been affected by this weather. You've had roof issues. If that's you, let Hudco come give you a free, no-obligation roofing inspection. You go to the website, HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com. Right there on the right side of the homepage, you see that form. It'll take you 30 seconds to fill out. Boom, you're in the system. We'll call and get you scheduled. Or if you'd rather call and talk to someone in the 225, it's 364-1007, 364-1007. Or go to the website. You'll see the phone number for every area code in the state of Louisiana. Do business with someone you know. HudcoRoofing.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HudcoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, Hudco can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Got to watch much of LSU's practice today, standing next to Wilson Alexander. Now we can talk to him on air. How are you, dude?
Doing well, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing really well. If I asked you through the 3 days that the media has been allowed to view, if you had one giant overarching takeaway, what would it be?
In terms of like very broad takeaway, it would be that this team is certainly further along than it was at the same time last year when everything looked kind of disorganized and a lot of position battles were way up in the air. And obviously, LSU still ended up having a good season and exceeding expectations, but it sort of adds into that idea that this team should be able to accomplish more than it did a year ago. Can it make the college football playoff and compete for a national championship? That still remains to be seen, but it's starting a further point ahead than it did at the same time a year ago. I think that would be my big, broad takeaway when you look around the field. It's like, okay, that position, you know a lot about what's already there, and you can say that about most of them, I believe, at this point.
Yeah, man. Golly, how much rotating they were doing on the offensive line last year. I mean, I think we saw 5 different centers in fall camp, and the offensive line has looked so good right now. When people have asked, I've often pointed out so far that the wide receivers are really having a field day against the cornerbacks. What has been your observation watching those two position groups battle?
Absolutely, that the wide receivers have been winning this. I thought today that the defensive backs made a few more plays, understand how to pick an 11-on-11. There was a couple of pass breakups in the one-on-ones that you hadn't seen the first day when the wide receivers really dominated. But still, all in all, the receivers have been winning those matchups. And it doesn't come as a huge surprise in that this is a very talented receiver group, and they're getting to play with a lot of space when you have those one-on-ones. Brian Kelly was saying, the quarterback can kind of sit there, because there's not really a time limit or a pass rush. And so, but they're still just a really talented group top to bottom. I've been incredibly impressed by the young guys in particular, because you kind of know that like Malik Neighbors is going to be good, and Brian Thomas and Kyron Lacey are experienced. But you're seeing it out of Jaylen Brown and Kyle Parker. Aaron Anderson has been incredibly shifty. The way he juked out Major Burns today and like left him turned around for just like a short little comeback route. And so that's been an impressive group to watch thus far.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like a double move, and I think Major Burns ended up on a knee. it was pretty crazy. Wilson Alexander's with us. What are the quarterbacks? I got asked earlier today if there's a role for Garrett Nussmeier in the offense. I'm curious your thoughts on where that stands.
As it stands right now, it seems like it would be more so like, this is still Jaden Daniels as your starter, and he's going to play the majority of the snaps. But, Garrett looks so crisp. I mean, his deep ball is as good as it has always been, but everything else looks like it's come a long way. The command he has of the offense, even though we've only seen a little bit of practice, when you add that to how he played in the spring game and how he played at the end of last year, he looks like a guy who can play at a very high level like right now. And so if something were to happen to Jaden, in the Auburn game last year when Garrett came in and he looked like he was swimming a little bit, I feel like that wouldn't be the same kind of scenario. Is his role more than just like come in if Jaden gets hurt? I don't know. We obviously saw them rotate in the Citrus Bowl, but Brian Kelly said that was really just because it was the bowl game and they felt pretty good about things. And it wasn't so much like an experiment to get ready for this year. But we'll definitely need to keep an eye on that. As of now, it's not like they're rotating in and out as much like during a series from what we've seen. So I still feel like it's Jaden Daniels' offense and Garrett's the backup, but he's going to be ready if they need to put him in at some point.
Wilson Alexander, he's on Twitter at WH_Alexander_, or as we like to say, Whalesander_ if you'd like to go give that a try. Hey, I saw in your practice notes you pointed out the defensive line, in particular Mason Smith. What have been some of your observations there aside from Mason being healthy and looking really good?
Jacoby Guillory looks like he's really coming a long way. He's played with a lot more energy here in the spring and now at the beginning of fall camp. We've seen him get a lot of first-team work. Jordan Jefferson looks like he's a nice addition as well. Mekhi Wingo is still the way he was last year, and so it looks like all of a sudden that interior two deep is really heavily improved, and LSU can rotate a little bit more, keep those guys fresh. You're seeing kind of similar things on the edges with Ovia Gofu and Savion Jones. And right behind them, Braden Swinson and Quincy Wiggins. Those two aren't, Braden and Quincy probably aren't as far along in terms of rotating like the guys on the interior, but it's a group that's got a lot more depth with the addition of Jordan and the way that Jacoby's come along.
The other one, if I flip back to offense for a second, I wanted to get your thoughts on running back, because I've been asked that a lot, as I'm sure you have. And so far, Wilson, I don't know that I've pegged any real order, or I don't want to say rhyme or reason, but any like consistent pattern with how they're rotating. Like Logan Diggs was with the ones today. Have you noticed anything there, any trends or anything stand out?
No, I've seen the exact same thing that you have. I haven't mentioned it in any practice reports yet because it's been so fluid. There's in and out. Guys are rotating a ton. It's like at one moment you see Trey Holly getting first team work when things are going on air. A freshman you don't maybe expect to contribute that much, but Caleb Jackson was getting some first team work today during the 11-on-11. But at the same time, he said Logan's coming in and out. Josh Williams, John Emery, now that he's back, like everybody is getting reps, and there is really no apparent on the surface. I'm sure there's rhyme or reason to it, but from us, when we don't know the exact plan, it looks like it's just sort of like this constant rotation, moving guys around, trying everyone. And so we'll have to see how that group shakes out further out into camp, because right now it just seems like everybody's getting a fairly equal amount of work.
Who did you have your money on in the fight? I mean, did you have did you have it going the distance? Did you have it like knockout, stoppage? What did you have in that going in?
I don't know how to. I don't know. I was just trying to keep track of like who was involved, where it started, because it was such a sort of mass of people, but not everybody was actually fighting necessarily. Like Savion Jones was in it, but he was trying to pull guys away from each other. I was just surprised that Major, I think I heard you say this earlier, I'm surprised that he was continuing to practice afterward when they dismissed Kyron Lacey and Malik Neighbors, held Harold Perkins out, but Major Burns, who came in and tackled somebody and punched someone, was still practicing.
Yeah. As I was leaving studio, Hunt Palmer pointed out, they'll probably go back and watch the practice video and sort all that out. Major Burns threw a punch. I was so stunned he was still out there. They'll sort all that out and we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Do you subscribe to the belief that it's just part of fall camp? It's hot. They're wearing pads. They're leaning on each other, and it just got testy.
I do, especially because you look at NFL practices that we don't have the same level of access usually in college. What we're getting right now is extremely rare, especially at a major program like LSU. But when you look at NFL camps, there's fights that break out over there, and so it's not a surprise that this happens. We just don't hear about it as much on the college level. So I think it is concerning for Brian Kelly that this is, according to Mason Taylor, happened twice in 4 days. He wants to get this snuffed out. But it's not something that's a problem necessarily at this point. These things happen, and as long as it doesn't just continually happen and someone gets injured as a result of it or something like that, then it shouldn't be a big issue.
I just Googled NFL training camp fights. It's just this long list. Titans right tackle Jamarco Jones waived after multiple training camp fights. The Bears GM yesterday broke up a fight with Chase Claypool. I mean, it's there's fights everywhere all the time. Anyway, all right. Wilson Alexander on Twitter at Walesander_. Had to get that one in there. Thank you as always for the time. We'll visit soon.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Y'all have a good day.
All right, man. Be well. Wilson Alexander of The Advocate. Well, now I got a quick break. We'll come back. One thing, speaking of NFL camps, that we haven't gotten to yet, Ross Jackson was here in hour one for our camp report. We appreciate that. And I did ask him his thoughts on this, but I want to go a little deeper. The Saints are bringing in Kareem Hunt and Anthony Barr for workouts today and tomorrow, and they have added former LSU Tiger Jontre Kirkland. I want to sort of just unpack each of those individually. We'll do that when we come back next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers Nicholson. Bluebonnet. Dine-in, carry-out, delivery. You looked at the calendar. It's Monday. Every Monday at Pluckers, all-you-can-eat wings. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. Muse, you want to watch the Red Sox lose at home to the Royals today? Great way to do it.
Pluckers.
All you can eat wings. Get on by. Yankees play at the White Sox. Great way for me to watch the Yankees lose to the White Sox.
Pluckers.
Nicholson or a Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings. Ice cold draft beer, full service bar, top 10 wing restaurant in America by USA Today, top 5 sports bar in America by ESPN. You want wings, you want beer, you want a full service bar, you want sports on TV, all you can eat wings. It's Pluckers. You like our wings, we eat the bird.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
So the Saints have had a couple of injuries, and as a result, they're bringing some veteran players in for tryouts on Monday and Tuesday. And I would love both of these additions if they can get it across the finish line. We'll take them one by one, and then I'll get to the player that the Saints did add this weekend, who's, of course, got a local tie. Let's start with Anthony Barr. So I have said often that linebacker for the Saints isn't a want or a need. It is a must. Especially this offseason when you lost Caden Ellis and you've got Demario Davis and Pete Werner back, you feel good about both those guys when on the field. Now, Demario Davis has a calf strain, and Pete Werner in 2 seasons has yet to play a full season. But provided they're both out there, you feel good. But your best linebacker behind them, your most veteran, was Andrew Dowell. He's on IR, done for the year. Now you're talking about DeMarco Jackson, last year's draft pick who didn't play. You don't even have bodies, let alone experienced veteran like Sunday bodies. You have got to supplement there. So last week I talked about I would love to see the Saints add Zach Cunningham. Zach Cunningham, former Vanderbilt Commodore who was drafted by the Texans, led the NFL in tackles in 2019. Great player. But whether it was Cunningham or someone else, the Saints were going to need to add somebody. And the person they're bringing in now is Anthony Barr. you probably know who Anthony Barr is. Okay, Barr was the former 9th overall pick of the draft coming out of UCLA by Minnesota. As a rookie, he started 12 times and then went to IR, had an injury. After his rookie season in 2014, he made 4 consecutive Pro Bowls in 15, 16, 17, 18. In 2017, we Saints fans unfortunately remember the playoff game in Minnesota. He intercepted Drew Brees in that playoff game in Minnesota. 2019, he was going to sign with the Jets as a free agent, had a change of heart, and stayed in Minnesota. And then the injury started. He missed 14 games in 2020 due to injury, tore his pectoral muscle. In 2021, he had a knee and a hamstring injury. And then he left Minnesota, and last year in 2022, played for the Cowboys. Here was Mike McCarthy a year ago when Dallas made the decision to sign Anthony Barr.
Exciting player, always a challenge competing against them. Gives you another weapon, and another excellent player both on and off the ball. So I think when you get in and out of packages as you build your system for a 17-game season, I know the defensive staff is really excited to have another piece.
So that was a year ago. And Barr actually had a productive season in Dallas last year. Now, he was not a full-time starter in Dallas, but he played in 14 regular season games. He had 58 tackles in the regular season and 9 tackles last year in the playoffs for Dallas. So he played well last year in a backup role for the Cowboys, which is really what you would need him to do for the Saints this year. If you can replicate that, that's great. He's never been a huge stat stuffer in his career. Like, Barr has never had a 100-tackle season during his NFL career. The most sacks that Anthony Barr has, he's got 17 and a half sacks total for his entire career. The most he's had in a season was 3.5 his second year. So it's not a guy that's going to pressure the quarterback a bunch, but it's a veteran guy that can play inside and out, has been around the league. He's played in 112 games, and at 31 years old, still showed last year with Dallas, he's got some tread on the tire. If you can do this affordably, great. You can ask, well, why isn't he signed with anybody? I don't know. Sometimes maybe he's waiting for the best opportunity to join a team at this point in his career where he knows he can go and win. Maybe he's looking to just not go through training camp. I mean, Brett Favre did that every year at the end of his career. He wavered about retirement, so he didn't have to go to camp, and he showed up game week. Okay, what is Mike Detilier's line? Practice is for the unskilled. Veteran Anthony Barr's played 112 career games. He don't need training camp. Is he healthy and able to give you depth? Week 1 against Tennessee, if he is, I'm for it. And maybe he's looking for a best offer. We'll see financially what it would be, but ultimately, the New Orleans Saints have, this isn't even a question. In my opinion, this wasn't even debatable before Andrew Dowell's injury. But Andrew Dowell shouldn't be the push to make you go sign a linebacker. You know what I mean? Andrew Dowell has been a career special teamer and backup. You got to have somebody else there. And we'll see if they can reach an agreement with Anthony Barr. I love that they're bringing in Kareem Hunt as well. You probably saw this weekend that Eno Benjamin suffered a torn Achilles. Yes, Eno Benjamin was still on the Saints roster. And so now you know Kamara's going to be gone the first 3 weeks due to suspension. Eno Benjamin, done for the year. He's on IR with the Achilles injury. So that leaves you Jamal Williams, who you're high on, and the rookie Kendre Miller. After that, the only other running backs that you have on the roster are Ellis Merriweather and Kirk Merritt, converted receiver to running back. I don't even do you know who Ellis Merriweather is? I don't know.
No, I've never heard of that guy.
Please look him up. I genuinely don't even know who he is. So here's Kareem Hunt, who's 28 years old, came into the league the same year as Alvin Kamara in 2017, and as a rookie in Kansas City, led the NFL in rushing. Now, I get it. At 30, you're in the NFL, you're old. You're old. It's funny that we're talking about these guys like they're ancient, like how quickly guys get old in the NFL. Anthony Barr's 31, Kareem Hunt's 28. But Kareem Hunt's at a point in his career where, of course, we know what happened. He was in Kansas City he was massively productive after 2 years. They shipped him to Cleveland. He's been in Cleveland the last 4. He's kind of flip-flopped injury-prone seasons and productive seasons. He played 8 games in 2019, played all 16 in 2020. He played 8 games in 2021, played all 17 last year. So last year he played 17 games in Cleveland, but was in a backup role to Nick Chubb. Perfect. I'm not asking Kareem Hunt to come to New Orleans and carry the ball 250 times. I'm asking Kareem Hunt to come to New Orleans and be the number 3 back. To be the guy that spells Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller for those 3 weeks while Alvin Kamara's on the shelf. Like, I'm just saying, come in and be a dude that can be a productive option, giving me depth instead of having to rely on Dwayne Washington or Eno Benjamin, who obviously is out this year with the injury, or David Johnson, who they signed last year, or Tony Jones. Do you realize last year, do you know how many running backs had a carry for the New Orleans Saints last year? Muse, do you know? Just I didn't prep you on this, but I'm not talking about a receiver. I'm not talking about a quarterback. I'm not talking about Taysom Hill. I'm talking about I'm not talking about Prentice, the fullback. I'm talking about running backs. How many running backs had a regular season carry for the Saints last year?
6.
8. 8 running backs had a carry for the New Orleans Saints in the regular season last year. That goes to show you how fluid it is, how much turnover there is, how much of an injury problem the Saints have had there the past couple of years. Obviously, you brought in Latavius Murray, and then the Broncos signed him off the practice squad.
Present.
Mark Ingram, his career's over now as well. He's doing TV. But you had Tony Jones, you had Eno Benjamin, you had David Johnson, you had Kamara. Like, you cycled through a bunch of them a year ago. You get Kareem Hunt on a friendly deal to provide depth and another explosive pair of legs in that running back room, I'm for it. So, again, the Saints are bringing in Barr and Kareem Hunt for workouts. We'll see if they can come to terms with either of them. The player they did come to terms with is Jontre Kirkland. Nick Underhill over at NewOrleans.football posted this video of Jontre Kirkland's meeting with reporters in New Orleans after his first practice with the Saints on Monday.
I had an off-the-field situation. I got a DUI. They released me. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I moved past it. I learned from it. He kind of put it in me to be able to come talk about this today. Cause they told me I had the interview today, but that kind of showed me like I need to lock in. I had got to the point where they had just signed me to the practice squad. I was getting loose. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm more focused by me being off the whole year. It's been a rocky roller coaster for a year and a half. I got released from Arizona. Then I went throughout a whole year. Then XFL, I went on a rise up. And then week 5, I tore my pec. So it went back down 2 weeks later. After that, my pops got killed. And then shoot, it workout, and then I'm home. So it's just a blessing from God, and I feel good to be home.
He's been through a lot. You heard him say it there. I don't know if you could hear it. I know the audio was a little low, but you could hear him say his father was killed. He was kind of really playing well in the XFL, tore his pec. I mean, he's been through a lot. But a kid from Lutcher who went to LSU, who did everything LSU asked. He played corner, he played receiver, he played special teams. We all know he played quarterback in the bowl game against Kansas State, which is that's what Jontre, when it all comes down to what he will be most known for from his time at LSU, was playing quarterback in that wretched bowl game against Kansas State. But team guy, willing to do anything. So, when we have seen the Saints put a premium on elite special teams players. JT Gray has been an all-pro in New Orleans as a special teamer. Dwayne Washington has made this team as a special teamer. I mean, think about the defensive backs. I mentioned JT Gray, but guys like Chris Banjo, who were defensive backs who made this team. Courtney Roby, who was a receiver, but made the team as a special teamer. So with Andrew Dowell out for the year, there's an opportunity as a special teamer for Jontre Kirkland. He ain't going to make this team as a receiver. They're too deep and too talented there. But could he be that 6th receiver that is on every special teams unit? He could. What we know about Jontre is he is a freak athlete, man. He's got a 42-inch vertical. He is fast as lightning. He can return kicks and punts for you. He can cover kicks and punts for you. And that may be his path to making the team in New Orleans. But congrats to John Trey Kirkland on signing with the Saints. He'll have to see if he can go earn a roster spot now throughout camp in the preseason. Okay, it is After Further Review. We're brought to you by Mold Zero USA, mold-0usa.com, mold-0usa.com. Check them out online, or if you run into a problem where you have mold or you need remediation work and you can't remember the name of the company or the website, just email me or text me or tweet me or something. Hey, Scone, what's the mold company? Mold-0usa.com. Patented non-toxic dry fog treatment I tell you about every single day here. Always encourage you to go check out the website because you can read the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers report. You can get your free estimate. You can see the product being demoed. It's all there for you. Mold-0usa.com, mold-0usa.com. Especially, listen, if you own a gym, maybe you're a coach at a school, think about your locker. Think about the odor in your locker room. You worry about things like staff this time of year. If the kids aren't bringing their gear, getting it cleaned every day, just have Mold Zero come in, fog that whole thing, kill everything in there, and get rid of the odor. It's Mold Zero. Mold-0usa.com, mold-0usa.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. We opened the show today with my LSU football camp report from today. Wilson Alexander was with us about 30 minutes ago, kind of got his sort of takeaways so far. In about 15 minutes, I want to go through, I'm not going to go through the camp report, right? We already did that as far as what we saw today, but I want to give you my takeaways. Like, what are my observations so far through the 3 practices we've been able to view? And 2 of them have been full practices where we've gotten to see 7-on-7, 11-on-11, team drills, all that sort of stuff. So I'll get into that again in about 15 minutes from right now. It's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. When we come back, Muse will have Tigers and the Pros. Stay here.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Segan near Airline, LA16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Yesterday we had a little bit of a pool day, hung up by the pool. And at one point I walked around by the pool pump, and there were there was like a big old wasp nest that started coming up from behind the pool pump. I ran around the corner, grabbed a big can of wasp spray that I gotten at Clegg's, took care of business. Tell you every day. We go hang out outside at night. Last night, put Drew to bed, decided to go outside, have a little sip of whiskey, and just enjoy the evening a little bit on the back patio. Didn't get bit by a single mosquito. Aeon mosquito barrier. Tell you all the time. Well, it's the summer. I know it's hot outside, but we all love to enjoy our outdoor spaces in Louisiana. It's part of the reason we love living here. If you want to make your outdoor experience even more enjoyable, Clegg's can help. Beautiful flowers and plants and trees and shrubs, if it's for beauty or for shade. And, of course, everything you'd find at a True Value hardware store you'll find at Clegg's Nursery.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Hey, Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Okay, we got a lot to get to, so let's get to it. Musso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Start with one NFL transaction from over the weekend. The Green Bay Packers cut quarterback Danny Etling. Etling had spent late in the season in 2021 on the Packers practice squad, the entire season last year on the Packers practice squad. Was battling for the backup job behind Jordan Love, but will find his way somewhere else. He's ended up turning in a pretty nice career in the NFL, just bouncing around from team to team. Milestones galore in minor league baseball. We'll start in Fredericksburg, home of the Single A Nationals. Dylan Cruz, 1 for 5 in his second game, but it was a pretty big one, his first career home run.
On a 3-2, Cruz swings and hammers the ball center field, and that ball is out of here. All it took was one. A debut weekend dinger for Dylan Cruz. And the
not to be outdone.
You should have, wait, real quick. Check out the dude in the outfield wall. Pull it up, Alondra. Check out the guy. It hits him. It hit him right in the breadbasket, and it got away, and he didn't get the ball. Like, that's Dylan Cruz's first professional homer. I mean, I get, like, it's minor league ball, but it's still his first professional homer for a guy that's going to be fast-tracked to the show. And, dude, it just hit him right in the breadbasket, and he just let it bounce off. That's a bummer, dude. That's a bummer, man.
That really is.
Yeah,
he's going to think about that one. He really is going to think about that one. And again, not to be outdone, Dylan's LSU teammate and now Nationals teammate Gavin Dugas, 1 for 2 in the ball game, drew a couple of walks, but hit his first professional home run.
0-1 from Blanco. Swung on and hammered to deep left center. Another first here in Fredericksburg. It's Gavin Dugas joining the home run party. A laser beam to left center makes it 5-2 Fredericksburg.
That's a nice park.
That is for single A.
Oh, that's
I know.
really
Dude,
nice.
For single A baseball, that's solid. And you know what? Hat tip to the Fredericksburg announcer. He nailed Dugas.
He did.
Like, people who called the SEC games couldn't nail Dugas. Dugas?
Gavin Dugas.
Like, he nailed it.
Gavin Dugas.
Hat tip to that guy.
Attaboy.
We'll move to double A ball. This is not a milestone, but Jacob Berry.
Jacob Berry.
Just continues to rake. 2 for 3, triple, 4 RBI, and another home run for Jacob Berry.
2-2 pitch, hammered out to right, hit well, going back, Rodriguez at the wall and gone!
Oh, is he in Pensacola?
He's in Pensacola, Blue Wahoos.
First home
Forgot
run
about
at
that.
Blue Wahoo Stadium. It's a 2-run shot.
Check out the view behind
Isn't that
right
so good?
field. Oh, my
A
goodness.
nice ballpark, too, right there.
Right there on the golf.
Yeah. Hunter Fiducia, 3 for 4, 3 singles, scored 3 times, scored a run, drew 2 walks. He's hitting .295 in AAA.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I'm looking at it right here. And then finally,
Are you sure he belongs in Tigers and Pros?
I think so. He played there. You might not remember it. And finally, we'll wrap up with DJ LeMahieu yesterday. Solid day for the Bronx Bombers. 2 for 4 for DJ, his 18th double of the year, and a run scored along with a walk. That Tigers and Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, if you are thinking about popping the question, go where Louisiana has gone to get engaged for more than 30 years. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Thrill her with a gift in the red box. And remember, you always get the Lee Michaels experience, no matter your budget, at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, y'all, it's after further review. A Sports Center coming up right around the bend. Let's get you caught up on national headlines, including more realignment talk, this time involving the ACC. When we come back, my LSU camp takeaways through 3 days. Stick around, it's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Traction, TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com, Traction, where champions are made. Hey, look, if your son or daughter is interested in playing flag football, remember, registration ends on Wednesday. So we did the draft last week, but they still have spots available, so make sure you get to the website, TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com, and you'll see on the website where you'll see FNA flag football, FNA Cotton. That's Drew Brees' league, and your son or daughter can register right there from kindergarten on up. Hey, look, it is moving toward fall. If your son or daughter's sport is not in season right now, and you want to get them specialized training, sport-specific training, go to Traction. TractionSports.com, the same place where professional athletes train, the same trainers, the same equipment. Your son or daughter can get sport-specific training, performance training, right there at Traction. World-class facility, world-class trainers. Traction, where champions are made.
Relentless reporting gets results.
I'm never going to stop until we get the answers you need.
Uncovering more as the powerful try to cover things up.
What happens in the dark will always come to light.
Founding new principles and practices for the state of Louisiana.
Chief Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Chris Nakamoto and the Investigative Unit. Recipients of Columbia University's prestigious DuPont Award.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. ACC leaders are set to begin exploratory discussions on the potential addition of Cal and Stanford to the conference, reports ESPN's Pete Thamel. They and Oregon State and Washington State scrambling to find a place to land, with 5 other schools leaving the Pac-12 for other conferences. ESPN college football writer Bill Connolly.
This is a cartoonish version of all the things we've seen over the last 15 years, a caricatured version. And I don't see how it makes anything better. I don't see how making the Rutgers volleyball team travel 3,000 miles or whatever makes anything better whatsoever. And we seem to be going down a road that nobody wants, but nobody can stop.
Bill Connolly on ESPN Radio Afternoons. Major League Baseball suspended White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson 6 games, Guardians third baseman Jose Ramirez 3 games for their roles in Saturday's massive brawl. Cleveland closer Emmanuel Clase, White Sox manager Pedro Grifol, and Guardians manager Terry Francona also suspended 1 game apiece. Anderson and Ramirez are appealing so they can play until that process is done. Texans right tackle Titus Howard expected to miss 6 weeks after hand surgery, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Alondra Villarreal. Muso. And Mr. Toby Tumplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. LSU football Tigers are back on the practice field this morning. A spirited workout that did see the ejection of both Malik Neighbors and Kyron Lacey for fighting with Harold Perkins. It led to a pretty significant melee that a lot of people have talked about. Some of you asked for video of it. No video. They only allow us to video shoot pictures, video, the first 15 minutes of practice, and they're in the indoor. After that, we can observe, notepads, pens, all that sort of stuff, but no more pictures. So there is no video except for the practice video that LSU would have, and I don't know I don't think that's going to get leaked out anytime soon. So we're not going to see any footage of it. So in any event, LSU back on the practice field today. If you're interested, I did give my practice report from today to begin the show. So you can go catch it on demand, just however you get your podcast, search After Further Review. Go to the After Further Review LSU YouTube channel. It's all there for you. You can check it out if you want the full recap from today's practice. What I wanted to do here, though, since we've been able to watch 3 practices, I wanted to give you some early takeaways, just some of my observations, sort of big picture from camp so far. First and foremost, if we start at the most important position, I know there's a question about what role Garrett Nussmeier is going to play in this team. I actually did an interview today on the Chuck Oliver Show, and Chuck asked me that question. What is Nussmeier's role going to be? It is very clear his role is backup quarterback. It is Jaden Daniels' team. Jaden has taken all of the first-team reps. There has been no rotating at quarterback with the first team. It's Jaden's team. If Jaden Daniels is healthy, he is going to be the starting quarterback for this team. I don't think that's a great surprise, but it bears mentioning because I think, especially given in the bowl game when Jaden had 2 series and Garrett had 1, we saw that rotation. There was a thought that maybe that might continue. So far, anyway, it has not continued. This has been Jaden's team. When we watch practice today and we're watching the quarterback or the cornerback wide receiver one-on-ones, the quarterbacks are rotating to throw into the receivers, and it was Jaden, Garrett, and then Ricky Collins was third. And there were some really impressive throws by both quarterbacks. And I think aside from that, the other biggest takeaway so far is that the wide receivers have really dominated the cornerbacks and the defensive backs. Not just even the wide receivers, all of the pass catchers. We've seen one-on-one drills where it's a pass catcher against a defensive back. We've seen 7-on-7s when there's no pass rush. And today we got to watch 11-on-11. And it does not matter. It has not mattered yet what format the offense has dominated fall camp so far. That drill I talked about a bit ago where we got to watch the receivers against the defensive backs, I charted 22 matchups. The defense won 2 of them. 2 of the 22. And it was Toviano, who had a really nice play against Mason Taylor, and then Deuce Chestnut had a pass breakup against Landon Ibieta. Now, there were a couple others where, let's see, 84, Mac Markway had a drop. Chris Hilton had a drop, although Chris Hilton maybe had the catch of the day today on a sideline route where he elevated and made it was during the 11-on-11 period. He was on the lined up wide to the left, and Jaden threw a ball down the left sideline, and it was a beautiful catch. I think they have referees there, so they did rule him out of bounds, but just coming down with the ball in double coverage was incredible. Chris Hilton, by the way, maybe is one of the biggest takeaways so far offensively. He has physically transformed his body. He's not just a skinny sprinter anymore. Like, you can tell that is a dude in year 3 who has built his body into a full-on man, and he looks awesome. Brian Thomas was not at practice today, no explanation given. And then after Malik and Kyron Lacey got thrown out, it was basically Chris Hilton and then Jaylen Brown and trying to think who was the other receiver that took the lion's share. Help me again. The freshman from Texas, I mentioned him earlier.
Kyle Parker. And Jaylen Brown.
Brown and Parker. It was those 3 that took the lion's share of the reps with the ones after that. So Aaron Anderson as well is kind of playing more of that slot receiver role, but he's been fun to watch. And with respect to the fight that happened today, I think a big part of that is rooted in frustration from the defense because they're getting it handed to them. And it's not just the receivers against the defensive backs. The offensive line might be the most encouraging part of this team. Here's what I mean. A year ago, LSU could, when we would go watch the 11-on-11, there were times the offensive line could barely get a snap off. Mason Smith was so disruptive, and it wasn't just Mason Smith. It was Jaquelin Roy, you had B.J. Ojolari, you had Ali Gay. I mean, they were awesome. The defensive front was awesome last year. And the offensive line had a freshman left tackle. You were rotating guys at center. Tremont Shorts was getting reps with the ones at guard. I mean, you remember how that whole rotation was going. And the offensive line struggled so mightily. Now, the offensive line has had the upper hand against the defensive front. And I'm here to tell you, Mason Smith is a great player. Mekhi Wingo was an All-American last year. You've brought in depth with guys like Jordan Jefferson, who is getting reps sometimes with the twos right now. He's wearing number 99, the transfer in from West Virginia. Like, they got dudes and talented, experienced bodies. The offensive line is having the upper hand so far, which should be encouraging because it's not so often when one position group does well, when you're going good on good, you go, okay, well, like, does that mean this unit is good, the offense is good, or is the defense bad? Like, with the defensive line, you don't have to have that question. You know LSU's defensive front is good. They're really good players. The offensive line is winning, which makes it encouraging for the offensive line. Now, the defensive backfield, that's a legit question. It's early, and they've got plenty of time to develop. But right now, the pass catchers are having a dramatic upper hand against LSU's defensive back. The fact that LSU's offensive line is winning against the defensive line, I think is very encouraging because you know that defensive line is good. A couple of other things. Watching today, guys like DJ Chester and Tyree Adams, a couple of freshman offensive linemen struggle today, reminded me of just how impressive it is that we saw Campbell and Jones do what they did starting last year. Those are big dudes that are going to be fine. DJ Chester's running at third-team center, and Tyree Adams running at tackle. And Tyree Adams had a rough day. And Brad Davis is probably LSU's most vocal coach on the field. I mean, Bob Diaco's giving him a run for his money now. But so when a player doesn't do well, everybody knows because Brad Davis is loud and vocal. And Tyree Adams had a tough go. I'm not picking on Tyree Adams at all. He's a freshman in like his 5th practice ever. So like I'm not picking on. He's going to be fine. But it's just there's a learning curve. But it was a reminder. I was watching that today going, man, to think Jones and Campbell did what they did a year ago was just so impressive. And Bo Bordelon, I think I mentioned this earlier, but Bo Bordelon early, I think, has shown the most improvement. He has worked at both right guard and at left. Today he was working at the number 2 left tackle behind Will Campbell. And he had a Bo Bordelon pancakes Quincy Wiggins today. And Quincy Wiggins is a big, physical, imposing, incredibly looking guy. And Bordelon kind of handled him today. So just a couple of those observations. I think Deshaun Womack, we're excited about Womack. He's wearing 17. When they were running combo drills against the offensive line today, Womack kind of got thrown around a little bit by actually Lance Hurd, who had quite a go. And then he also took a rep against Emory Jones and Miles Frazier. And he kind of got pushed about 7 yards off the ball. But it's an illustration of how hard it is to play in the trenches. Now, maybe Womack's role on this team is going to end up being as a pass rusher here as a freshman. But as far as a guy trying to play that big end Savion Jones role, Savion Jones had an awesome win today against Emory Jones and Miles Frazier. Split him and had an awesome rep. But we always kind of keep an eye on the freshmen to see how they're doing. And some of those guys, I think, have a ways to go before they're really ready to make a big-time impact. So a couple of the takeaways so far in fall camp. And the last one, I think, is running back not really having any, I don't want to say any rhyme or reason, but nobody has solidified themselves. We saw day one, the first drills they were running. Like the very first thing we got to see the first day of practice, when the running backs were rotating, we saw Armani Goodwin and Josh Williams kind of taking the first reps. And then it was Trey Bradford and Logan Diggs. And then it was Noah Kane and Trey Holly. Then when they went outside, when the quarterbacks and running backs were working together, it was Noah Kane taking the first reps. And then when we got to go watch the first team offense, against the first defense, it was Josh Williams taking the first rep. Well, today it was Logan Diggs taking the first rep. So, I think they're sort of freely rotating everybody at running back, giving everybody first-team reps to see who ultimately is going to fit in what role and who's going to emerge. But as of right now, I don't know that there's really anything that's been decided at running back, and that's something I would fully expect is going to continue to evolve throughout fall camp. People want to know that position and how those reps are going to go, and I understand why there's curiosity there, but it doesn't seem like they are really close at all to determining how those reps are going to be divvied. Okay, it's after further review. Glad you're with us here on a Monday edition of AFR. We'll knock out a quick break. When we come back, I do want to sort of wade into the waters of the realignment conversation, because Friday night, a really weird thing happened. I ended up spending like 3 hours fighting with Mountain West Twitter. Not exactly what I had on my to-do list last week on a Friday night, but I did. And I'd just like to provide some context on the whole realignment thing, because Friday when I was on air is when it was all developing. So with the benefit of the weekend to think about it, I'd like to give you some thoughts, and we'll do that when we come back. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. This 5-star Google review came from Remy Curry, who said, Cody, technician, was so nice. He went above and beyond to help us, took time to explain everything. He saved us a lot of money. We will definitely be calling River City's 1 Hour Air and Cody again. This 5-star review from Larry Mucker Jr. said, Ronnie, the tech, was very professional and on time. He explained what he was doing. The professionalism and knowledge made for a great experience. Just go search the 5-star Google reviews. You'll see thousands of them. They've literally doubled the amount of the next closest competitor. The reason is because for 4 decades now, River City's 1 Hour Air has treated their customers great. They have expertly trained technicians who explain what they're going to do. They'll give you all of your options, never pressuring you into what to do, and they'll fix it right the first time. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, where they'll always come out nights, holidays, weekends, and never charge you extra to do so. 1 Hour Air, 752-0001.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
If you missed it, just about an hour ago, ESPN and others reported that the ACC is having initial and exploratory conversations about potentially adding Stanford and Cal. Yes, to the Atlantic Coast Conference. Two teams bordering the Pacific. You know, that's the question a lot of people are going to ask, and maybe the objection a lot of people will raise when talking about realignment is geography. I don't care about the geography involved. I want to peel back the layer of the onion a little bit here. But I kind of want to provide some context, if I could, for a second. So Friday, while we were on air, is when all of the realignment dominoes were falling. It was happening real time as we were on air. The news that Oregon and Washington were leaving for the Big Ten, and subsequently Arizona State and Utah were leaving for the Big 12. So as we got off air on Friday at about 6 o'clock, right at 6 o'clock Central, the Pac-12 was now the Pac-4. Oregon State, Washington State are basically screwed. Cal and Stanford have gigantic question marks around them. And a lot of that's been discussed this weekend. Well, I tweeted on Friday because I didn't have a whole lot of time to react on air as it was sort of unfolding. But I tweeted on Friday, what is happening today is great for college football. The idea of 133 teams on the same level is and has always been a farce. The days of being force-fed garbage cupcake games and a sham of a postseason dictated by old men and ugly blazers will end. That was the extent of my tweet. And you listen to this show, you know, for a long time I felt that way. Toledo and Oklahoma are never going to be the same. ULL and LSU are never going to be the same. USC and San Diego State are never going to be the same. Ever. Texas and Texas San Antonio are never going to be the same. But organizationally, they're all in the same structure of the FBS. And the reason people say, well, why? Why wouldn't the G5 schools want to go crown their own championship, own champion? I'm sure they would. But the problem is money. This isn't just the greed of the big guys. It's the little guys spending outside of their means as well. Here's what I mean. If you look at the budget for the athletic department of any G5 school, you're going to see, let's take, I want to take, Muse, look up ULM's athletic department budget. Just search Louisiana Monroe, ULM athletic department budget. And I'll make this point. This year, and I'm not, by the way, I'm not picking on ULM. Okay, this is fill in the blank of any G5 school. Just fill in the blank of any of them. ULM this year is going to play, they played Texas last year and lost 52-10. This year, they're going to play Texas A&M. They're going to play Ole Miss. And I thought there was one more Power 5. I might be missing it. They're going to play Army. Anyway, so Ole Miss and Texas A&M for sure, unless there's another one I'm missing. They're going to play those games and take a 7-figure payout. Do you have it? What's the number?
Their expenses totaled over $18 million. Ultimately, they lost $1.3 million in last year.
Okay, so $18 million in expenses. They lost 1.3
total. Yeah, they were in the red.
So their revenue was south of $16 million. Total revenue. All right, I'm not trying to do a math equation here, but just follow me. The point is, their revenue was $16 million. $3 million of that, roughly, is coming from playing 3 football games where you're just going to get your head kicked in. My point is, Google ULM's head football coach salary, please. When you are operating at a deficit, you have got to get your spending in line. Like, think of this in terms of a household. And unfortunately, this is sort of an American way. It's why there's so much debt in America. Like, people spend money they don't have to get things they can't afford. In college football, in college athletics, it's basically the same thing. There's a keeping up with the Joneses. If you're ULM, you're never going to be LSU, but you still pay your football coach
$350,000 base.
Okay, a base of $350 for an athletic department, which doesn't seem absurd, but for an athletic department that loses money, why are you paying a football coach $350? And that's one example. And you go to any. You could look at any state school, any G5 school, and you're going to see examples of that. Why? Because you have to. And so, essentially, to be in the FBS, well, why wouldn't they go do their own thing? Because if you go do your own thing, then you're not going to get those $1 million payouts to play G5 schools. You're not going to get the bowl games as well, the revenue built into there. Like, that's the problem, the inherent issue. So when you look at those things as sort of salary that you use to fund your athletic department, you don't want that to go away. So the trade-off is we know we're never going to compete for a championship, but we get the money. So who gets hosed there? You and me. Fans get hosed. Because now we look at an LSU schedule where there's Georgia State, Army, which isn't a terrible game, and then isn't it Nichols? Then LSU? No, Grambling this year. Grambling. Who wants to see LSU play Grambling? I mean, respect to Grambling and the late Eddie Robinson and the tradition of that program and all, but like if there's a spread on the game, it's going to be 50 points. Nobody wants to see that. So we've gotten to this point now where it's not just recent greed because of television contracts. It's a century of greed with how the whole structure has been going back to bowl games originally. Do you realize from the beginning of time, go back to like the ancient Romans where they used to fight naked and try to kill lions in the Colosseum? In the history of mankind, there has never been a sport where you could win every game you play, all of the games you play, and not even have an opportunity to win a championship, except for college football. Y'all, I love college football. You're listening to the show because I know you love college football too. But we love college football in spite of its flaws. And for a century, they have force-fed down your throat the sacredness of the regular season and it's total garbage. Schedules are manipulated with body bag games so mediocre teams can get to 500 and play in a bowl game that you don't want to go to and the players don't want to play in. Why? Because it's a TV show and the athletic department's going to get a payout on it. But they tell you need the tradition of bowl games. No, you don't. You know what would be awesome? An actual playoff. A regular season made up of games, all games we actually want to see. And so you know what you hear? Well, no, you need a tune-up game. Bull crap. There's no such thing as a tune-up game in high school or the NFL. You know where you have a tune-up game? College football, the only sport in the world. Oh, there's too many games. Oh, really? High schoolers play 15 games. The FCS plays 15 games. The NFL plays 17 now. But somehow, in the world of major college football, it's just devastating if you play one more game. Like, that's stupid. They're force-feeding you garbage and have for a century. We love college football in spite of itself. So on Friday, I tweet what's happening is great for college football. Because what it's going to lead us to is a reality where eventually, as I've said this for years, it's just now coming to fruition. This isn't like something I made up last week. We are going to eventually see one college football. Structure it however you want. Cut the country in half, you play for region, whatever. But invite only the top 50 programs, whatever it's going to be, and those programs are all going to play each other. And however it's going to be structured, and you're going to have a postseason with those schools, and that cluster, whatever it's going to be called, is going to do its own TV deal. It's not going to be an SEC, an ACC, a Big Ten. It's going to be it's how it's going to go. Eventually, this is where we're heading. This is the end game. And it's going to leave out the G5. So some guy from Mountain or lady, I don't know, from the Mountain West Wire somehow got my tweet about how this is a good thing for college football. And this person tweets me and says, wrong. College football is Alabama versus LSU in primetime and Utah State against Hawaii in the deep black of Saturday night and Sunday morning and Buffalo versus Ball State on a Tuesday. It contains multitudes. Anyone claiming otherwise doesn't serve your interest. Okay. So I then replied, I don't care about Mountain West football, and neither does the rest of America. That tweet has now been viewed 400,000 times. When I tell you I spent all of Friday night fighting with Mountain West fans on Twitter, that's what I did on my Friday night. Now, what so many people lose sight of, and this is one of the things about Twitter is short form and it doesn't allow for context. This is obviously hyperbole. I'm not speaking in absolutes, thinking that there's not literally a single person in the country that cares about the Mountain West. My point is, we watch the Mountain West because we love football. I'm the guy who says, give me more bowl games just because it's football on TV. And also, people bet. So yeah, people watch Tuesday Maction because they can bet on it. If you remove the betting angle of that, it has dramatically less interest. But I went and looked up the numbers, and last year on FS1, Mountain West Conference games, there was one, all season, one that had more than 500,000 viewers. If the Mountain West Conference ceased to exist tomorrow, there ain't a soul listening to me right now that would give a damn. Meaning, it's not going to change your viewing habits one iota. You're still going to come to college football when LSU opens up against Florida State, and you are going to gorge on that game and everything else opening weekend and all season long. Will you watch the G5 because it's on and it's football? Absolutely. The same way you will the Division II and Division III playoffs when they're on in December and there's nothing else. Yeah, of course. Are you super passionate about Utah State and Nevada? Hell no, you're not. It's just football on TV. So you watch. Will you watch it? Yes. Do you care deeply about it? No, you don't. And anyone arguing to the contrary is being disingenuous because the numbers don't lie. Your viewing habits show that to be true. I told you earlier today, 6 million people watched the preseason game between the Jets and the Browns with a bunch of dudes who are going to be washing cars next week. 6 million people. There was one game in the Mountain West last year that had more than 500,000 viewers. Don't tell me you care. And I'm not picking on the Mountain West. They're just the ones who decided to come after me. So I'll gladly use them as the example that nobody actually cares about their crappy league. But ultimately, I got a break. But I want to stay on time. And I'm not done. Because the other thing that there's two other giant questions people have asked that I want to talk about. One is what happens in the other sports. Two is geography. Let me break. I'll pick up there. I'm on a roll, too. I just want to keep going. But I'll pick up there when we come back on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Rouse's, as we always say, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints, where you're going to be watching them Hootats this fall. Get on by Rouse's for everything you need for tailgating. Maybe you're heading to Saints training camp practice. You want a bottle of water, hydrate before you go. Maybe when you're heading home, you want everything you need to throw on the grill tonight. for dinner, or you want something grab and go ready. They got it for you over at Rouse's. Just walk in. If you go to the left, you'll see all their food. You see the butcher, the baker, candlestick maker? No, not a candlestick maker, but they do have a florist. It's over at Rouse's. Grab and go on their hot and boiled seafood kiosks. You want something to throw on the grill, a great piece of fish, or maybe a steak. You can get it all at Rouse's. And they've been helping you make groceries for more than 60 years. Rouse's, your home for back to school. Get all your school supplies for the kiddos as well. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Rouse's. This feels like home.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
All right, we're going to get to Otter Locks in about 10 minutes from right now. I'm going to move quickly, though, but Jimmy did give us an early pick. He's got Miami. The game starts in like 2 minutes. The Miami Marlins on the money line, if you want to get in on that. That's a 5:40 Central Time first pitch. So if you want to get in on the first Otter Locks pick of the day, the Marlins. Real quick, because I do want to get to some of what Dennis Allen had to say today. Just 2 quick points that I wanted to just finish up talking about the realignment conversation. One, people have talked about geography. And there's been this whole conversation about, well, what does the student athlete do when they got to travel across the country? You hear this all the time. Well, the volleyball team's going to fly 3,000 miles? Yes. I'm going to give you an example of what happens already. College baseball. I love college baseball. I'm guessing a lot of you do as well. Every year, while the Midwest and the East Coast are frozen teams basically go for like a month on the road before conference play starts and their fields thaw out, right? Don't we see that every year where teams will come from the East Coast, the Midwest, and come play in the South basically for a month? Last year, Long Beach State. I don't think Long Beach State is like a huge athletic department, are they? Long Beach State doesn't have like a ton of money. They don't have a football program. Long Beach State last year in March went and played Georgetown, East Carolina, and Indiana, all in Greenville. They took a flight from Long Beach, California. I want to make sure. Long Beach, California, that's on the West Coast, right? It's California, Long Beach.
Yeah.
And Greenville, East Coast?
Correct.
So Long Beach, somehow, I don't know how they managed it, this newfangled contraption called an airplane. They flew their baseball team from California to North Carolina to play a 3-game weekend.
Yeah, that happened.
And then flew back to Long Beach. And then you know who went and played Long Beach the next week?
Who was that?
The South Florida Bulls. So the South Florida Bulls are in Tampa, right?
Correct.
And that's East Coast.
Yes.
And so then they flew all the way across the country to play Long Beach in California. West Coast. Weird.
How does it work?
You get on an airplane, you fly.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't uncommon. We've seen baseball teams do this forever. You make it work. Now, what we will now people ask, well, what happened to the other sports? We are going to see sports cut. There will be sports cut. There's no doubt. But it's not because they can't athletic departments can't afford them. They're going to use realignment as the cover to cut sports. In the same way that Stanford used COVID as a way to cut 11 varsity sports. Stanford could afford whatever they want. They were tired of funding sports that were hemorrhaging money. They used the cloak of the pandemic to just cut 11 varsity sports. Okay. There will be other schools that do the same thing as a result of this. And I'm going to say it again. That's okay. If a sport can't exist on its own, okay, become a club sport. Do a bake sale. Wash some cars. Do a lift-a-thon. Raise money to buy new uniforms and do what you can do. If you're playing for love of the game, do it. But the fact that LSU men's golf loses $1 million, in what way is that practical? It's not. It's not. When swimming and diving is losing $1 million a year, it's not practical. So, and I know. Well, it's got to be more than just the dollar. Okay. But you also need money to function. At some point, it stops making sense. And that point was long ago. So, yeah, I think there are sports that are going to be cut. Like, LSU's not cutting baseball or basketball or women's basketball or softball or gymnastics. LSU's probably not cutting anything. But is there a chance that schools that aren't as financially sound as or fortunate as LSU or SEC schools are going to cut sports? Yes. Yes, they will. And that might mean less opportunities for student athletes in those non-revenue sports. Go play club sports or go to a school that has scholarship opportunities for you. Like, life ain't fair. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you it's okay, but decisions are ultimately made. And essentially every sport that hemorrhages money has been feeding off of football's teat for a century. And we've gotten to a point now where the employees, the football players, decided, I don't want to play in your Super Bowl game anymore. I want to make some money. So what do? You either adapt or cease to exist. They've called you on your century of bullcrap. And it's going to be a great thing for college football because we're going to have a true regular season without crap games nobody wants to see, and we're going to have an actual postseason where they decide things on the field instead of allowing these blessed people who get to be the grand poobahs of college football, to sit in a hotel ballroom and decide who gets to play in the 4-team playoff. You want to know why you have the same teams in the playoff every year? Because they're privileged. You default to what you know. Let's go play it on the field. So I'm looking forward to. All right, brought to you by DraftKings, official sports betting partner of AFR. Man, there is so much going on. I love this time of year. From the gridiron to the diamond, the DraftKings Sportsbook, it is a great time to download that app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Bet on your favorite sports. Take a shot at huge wins with the DraftKings Sportsbook. If you're a new customer, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Bet just $5 on anything. Bet just $5 on anything. Bet just $5 on anything, and they will give you $150 in bonus bets instantly, win or lose. That's at the DraftKings Sportsbook. And all customers can take their winnings to the next level with DraftKings same-game parlays. So for same-game parlays, open this DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in. Just hit the opt-in tab at the top. You'll see it. So what are you waiting on? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. New customers score $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 on anything. That's with the promo code Baton Rouge only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select pairs only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Licensed partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. Okay, well, it is after further review. I wanted to get to Dennis Allen here. Ran out of time a little bit in the segment. So let me knock out a break. We'll come back. Our final segment, Jimmy Ott will be here for Otter Locks. And if I have time, we'll get to some of what Dennis Allen had to say. Glad you're here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Stick around.
AFR.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR. Always love telling you about South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. If you're in the market for a vehicle or might be, check out our friends over at South Point Volkswagen. The all-new ID4 is there. That's the all-new, all-electric SUV for everyone. If you haven't test-driven an EV yet, man, they are fun to drive. If you want your ICE engine, that's cool. I'm just telling you, the technology in those things are awesome. Also, the Taos, which is the fun-sized SUV for everyone, you can check it out at South Point Volkswagen. Test drive one today. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer is South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? We do it every day about this time. It's been so long, Muse. Only one thing left to do. Let's find out what... That's it. Only one thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. It's time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only incomparable, often incomprehensible, the Outfather himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, welcome back. How are you?
Malik Neighbors minus 140, huh?
Did you have, by TKO, by decision? What did we have?
I don't know. I had a Malik Neighbors Jake Paul parlay. How did it work out?
You won. Yeah, you won for sure. Yeah,
Jose Ramirez.
And Jose Ramirez. Oh man, the more legs you had, the more money you win.
That's right. So tough card today. I gave you Miami. Big pitching advantage on the road for the Marlins there. Yuri Perez, real strong. Young pitcher for the Marlins. They have one little rough spot. They're off to a 1-0. The Reds are leaking oil, man. I mean, the Cubbies they put up all kinds of runs at Wrigley Field, sweeping them. Same over the weekend as they just can't win, man. That lack of pitching has finally caught up with them. 1-0 Marlins early on. Got to go out to the West Coast. Texas at Oakland. Since the trade deadline, how are teams responding? And the Texas Rangers 6-0 since they were aggressive before the trade deadline with sweeps of the White Sox and the Marlins at home. They go out to Oakland here for a 3-game set. Can't lay that money line, but I will on the road lay the run line, especially with the highest scoring team in baseball. Rangers minus 1.5, minus 135 is what you got at DraftKings right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and one more. Since the trade deadline, the Mets, with the highest payroll in baseball, became a seller. And watching the body language of this team, they got swept at Kansas City. They got swept at Baltimore, shut out in a couple of games in 06. They're 0-6 since the trade deadline. Now they're at home against the Cubs tonight with the pitching advantage, but they're just not trying, man. The Cubs, they were going to be a seller. They got hot. 8-2 to finish July. They're now 5-1 to start August, including a 2-out-of-3 series win against Atlanta. I'm going with the Cubbies minus 105 with Smiley at staying at Citi Field tonight. Really watching the Cubs too lately, man. They've got baseball IQ. Something that is a lost art in MLB is situational awareness. And man, runner at second with no out there, at least hitting to the right side to advance them. They're plate discipline. There's a lot of things they're doing that add up to winning baseball. So the Cubbies really got it going on. Two teams moving in opposite directions in that one.
All right, the Otters got 3 picks for you tonight. Miami, which is already underway. The Rangers on the run line tonight out in Oakland, and then also the Cubbies tonight on the money line against the Mets. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We are at Dozy Place, and you might not get plus 850 like I did, but now the U.S. women, and this is for the AARP demo that's listening to you. When you get into your 50s, Matt, you start waking up every 2 hours when you sleep at night. So if you roll over and watch the Women's World Cup in New Zealand, the Japan team is 5-1 right now to win the Women's World Cup. Bruce Marshall put it out when it was 9-1, but they're still alive.
Oh, wait, so we like Japan to win the World Cup?
Setting up for a semifinal match against Spain, which they already beat 4-0 in group play.
All right. I might
5-1.
Yeah, I might give me a little bit. See if we can get that. All right,
Wake up
Otter.
in the middle of the night, put on
Nope,
put on Fox.
not gonna do that. Not gonna do that. But I will never turn down a winner. So let's see. I'm looking. Where is it? Japan plus 450.
There you go.
All right, let's go. Japan plus 450. I'm in. Boom. There. I just placed the bet. Thanks, DraftKings. All right, Otter. Thanks so much. Have an awesome night.
See you, Matt.
All right. That is Jimmy Ott. Of course, catch Ott and Hanny weekdays for Live at Lunch on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. All right, Muse, Alondra, thanks so much. Alondra sat in for Paulie today. Paul's back tomorrow. Just get a little vacay before the grind of football season starts. Don't blame him for it. Y'all have a great night. Thanks so much for being here. You miss anything, you can catch AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, or go to williamsoneye.com. That's williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center. Y'all, a lot of kiddos went back to school today. You don't need me to tell you that. If you're a parent of a kiddo that went back to school today, you know that. A lot start tomorrow. Drew will be back on Monday in school. It's not too late. Get your son or daughter their annual eye exam for back to school. Also, our friends at the Williamson Eye Center are helping you with a little BOGO. Buy one, get one, 50% off on glasses and contacts here for back to school. And when you have that eye exam for back to school, they're entering you into a drawing for cash for supplies, for school supplies. So get all the details at their website or on all their social media at williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center. Locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area, including the newest location in Lutcher down in the River Parishes. It's the Williamson Eye Center. williamsoneye.com.
At Cornell Toyota in Opelousas, I'm happy to say we have vehicles in stock and more coming in.